Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at the all-new 2023 Range Rover. This is the P440e SE trim level. It's finished off in Belgravia green, and it has an MSRP just shy of $130,000. Now we're going to start today's review with what powers this Range Rover. So this has a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged engine paired with the hybrid electric system, which offers a 31.8 kilowatt lithium-ion battery pack. It also features the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission and pumps out 434 horsepower, 457 pound-feet of torque. That power is sent through the all-wheel drive system, propelling this 5,900-pound SUV from 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds. It has a top speed of 140 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 18.9 gallons. You'll expect to see right around 21 miles per gallon combined between city and highway, and this also has a total range of 48 miles just on the EV system. Now this is the short wheelbase, so it has a wheelbase of 118 inches. Its overall length is 199. It has a width of 81, a height of 74, and with its adaptive air ride suspension, it has a maximum ground clearance of 11 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now for this all-new Range Rover, you'll notice right off the bat that in a world where a lot of vehicles are going boxy, now Range Rover does have a boxy vehicle like their Defender. This Range Rover here is more elegant and has some very curved lines running throughout the entire exterior. So let's start up front, where you will see Range Rover blacked out with that emblem just at the base of that hood, where there's some very nice lines on both sides. It kind of wraps around just above the headlight housings and the grille. The grille is blacked out too, but also has a nice pattern and plenty of cutouts to provide cooling to that engine. And then you will notice with the LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals, they have a sleek design to them, and there's a gloss black trim piece that connects them running just underneath that grille, so it ties in everything very nicely. This even has the headlight washers, so if they are dirty, you can quickly clean those. This has a forward-facing camera with all the sensors, even LED fog lights in the lower section, and the rest of that grille has been blacked out. There's a nice trim accent that matches the surround for that grille just to tie it in nicely. So it's a very elegant front-end design. As we move on to the side, this has the 21-inch wheels. I think it's a good color when you pair it with this exterior green. This has massive brake calipers finished off in black. And then you will notice there's more of that trim that you saw up front in the front section of that door, which is an interesting touch. Now you'll notice too that the entire upper section is gloss black. So to tie that in, these side mirrors are gloss black. They have the turn signal as well as the camera system. There's a nice line too that runs off of the headlight housings just above these door handles all the way to the rear. Some more gloss black in that lower side skirt. Now you'll notice too that the door handles are currently popped out at the moment because the vehicle is unlocked. If I lock it, they will fold in, as well as those side mirrors. And now we have that nice flush look. And from the rear, you'll notice that window is very large, and we have a good point there at the back section. From this angle, it kind of looks like a Rolls-Royce SUV, which is pretty cool to see. And then once we make our way to the rear, you will notice the massive window with the wiper blade tucked up underneath just to give it more of a clean look. The third brake light, as well as that spoiler, are up top as well. This has a backup camera, all the parking sensors, which are in the gloss black section for the lower bumper there. And this can even tow right around 5,500 pounds, which is pretty adequate, especially for this engine option. So as we work our way to the interior cargo space now, you can use the button underneath the rear view camera there. If you use the button on the actual liftgate, it will only open the upper liftgate. If I use the button on the key fob, it will deploy both of them. So just depending on what you need, if you have your hands full, you can have this lower section already down, which is very nice. Now for this rear cargo space, it's lined in carpet, which is a nice touch to see. And at the moment, I do have some items in the back, but you'll notice too, you can fold the back seats down. They are a little bit bulky as far as not being all the way flat, but you still have plenty of room for an SUV to put in larger items. You also have this cargo top here that you can remove if needed. And there's a few other items in the back, like we have a strap here, there's some hooks, even a 12 volt, and then a net over on that passenger side. Now for these controls right here, you can actually raise and lower the back seats. We have the left two and then the single right one. You can even raise and lower the rear of this vehicle. So with the air ride suspension, hopefully you can hear it right now. It is currently lowering. So if you need a little bit lower of a load height, we are still going. That's impressive. Now we have it all the way down here. And you can easily adjust that, put it back up. You can even lower the center armrest, which is currently down at the moment. With that up, you can have that 5th passenger. Now you can close both of these individually. If I push the button up top, where you will also notice part of the Meridian sound system, and we have a little bit of storage right here where you could place maybe some tool items for the spare tire. But if I push on that button, they will both close, similar to a BMW X5 or X7. And with that wrapped up, let's work our way to the interior, where all I need to do is push on this button here and all of the door handles will pop open. So it doesn't matter which door that you are doing that on. We have a beautiful interior. You can see all of the leather, all of the gloss black. For your rear seat passengers, you have memory seating adjustments. You can of course recline, incline, move them forwards and backwards. We have mute for the audio, as well as the upper sunshade for the entire moonroof. There's dome lights and reading lights, and then you can even adjust both of the windows. So just by pushing on this, you can do both at the same time, or left and right, and then use the standard window control to raise and lower the window, of course, or once the window is all the way up, you can actually raise and lower the sunshade. The vehicle does have to be on in order to do that. There's a little bit of storage in the lower section, more of that sound system, and some of that brush trim, which give it a very nice design. Now, as we work our way to the interior, we have these beautiful seats that have the two-tone look to them, and then you can see with that center console area folded down, we have a lot more controls to go into. Now, I currently have the vehicle at ride height 2, so this is the highest that it will go, and at 5'10", I can easily hop into the back, so it is really not that hard. We have some storage pockets behind both front seats, and with the vehicle on, you will notice that there are 2 rotary dials here. If I twist on one of them, you will see that we have some of the icons come to life. If I pull on this side once, we have the fan speed that we can adjust. Over on this passenger side, if I pull on this, you have the same thing. So we have a dual zone for your backseat passengers. If I push that in once, now we have the temperature that you can adjust, and this even has heated and ventilated rear seats. So you can quickly adjust that left or right, depending on what you need for the day. We have where you'd like the air to go, along with your fan speed as well for the center there, and a few other controls just underneath that. There's also a 3-prong outlet at the very bottom, and then 2 air vents just in front of that. And then as we take a look at the center area, we have 2 blank areas. If I just push on this lower one, now we can swipe this open just like you were on a phone, and we have a lot more controls to go through. So if I push on seat, we have the seat heat, which you can go through, as well as adjusting it, so recline and incline. So you can use this as needed and select the area that you would like to adjust. So we have some lumbar controls currently, and even the headrest, which you can change as well. If we go back to this icon and turn this on, now we have some shortcuts to the heated and ventilated seats if you don't feel like reaching all the way to the center. We also have cup holder space. So this will slide open, and you can see we have access to slide this open for your drinks. Now, I don't think you can close this. You have to close the entire area for that to shut. So you can just push on that for it to retract back in. It's interesting to note that there is no screen right here. This is just one solid piece to blend in nicely with the screen in the back. Now, if we go back to the home, we have all the climates, so you can go through all of these, and then we even have the lighting, so you can adjust all of the lights for the interior. It's going to be a lot easier to see this at nighttime, but that is pretty cool. And then we also have the blinds. This is for the panoramic sunroof, which you can open and close. And on this right side, you can go into some settings. So you can go through all of this information here. And then this last button here actually raises this back up. So if you have that middle person and you need that seat, you can easily do that. Now, coming back to the window controls here, like I mentioned earlier, the vehicle had to be on in order to raise and lower the sunshades, but you can do this for both sides. So I can raise and lower them. Once they are all the way down, then we can even adjust the windows. So you can do both of those at the same time. Pretty cool to see that. And then we will take a look at visibility. That pillar is really not all that bulky. You have large windows on both sides to really give you a lot of light for this interior. We have the grab handles and some other climate vents up top. And as far as headroom goes, I'm 5'10". I have a good amount of space, and I can even recline the seat a little bit farther back. There we go. This is really where you want to be, chauffeured around in your Range Rover. What more could you ask for? We even have a cooler up front, which I will get to here, but definitely a good spot to be. And then the release handle is nicely tucked away just underneath that grab handle. Now, as we work our way to the front seats, you will notice everything is just like the rear door panels. However, we have all the window adjustments, side mirror adjustments, which are power folding. You can even lower this vehicle into the excess height. So if it is very high at the moment, when you get up to it, like I had it, just push on that button, it will lower, makes it much easier to enter and exit. We have more storage, lock and unlock, and then the release handle there. So a beautiful design, as well as the front seats, which are just like the rears. And with it in the excess height now, it is still just as easy to enter. And then we can move on to this beautiful steering wheel. It is wrapped in leather. We have some of the brushed aluminum accents, Range Rover right in the middle, massive paddle shifters on both sides. And then to go through all of these controls, let's fire this up. With my foot on the brake, that button is down below, and we can bring this to life. And you will see for this digital gauge cluster, currently on the left side is miles per hour, as well as the fuel level. On the right side, you will see the tach, as well as the battery voltage, charge, and power. And right in the middle, you can go through a lot more information using these controls over on the left side of the steering wheel. So as it sits right now, we have volume controls, as well as Bluetooth or the voice commands. And then you have Bluetooth, as well as tuning and a favorites button. Now, if I push this circle right in the middle, now we have all the arrows that will appear in order to go through the rest of this info. So you can see the info panel where you can go through your driver assistance. There's a blank page if you don't want to see anything. We have the navigation as well as your media. You can look at your trip summary as well as the four-wheel drive system. This even has a center locker that you can monitor as well. And then if we go back to the display layouts, currently this is in the dial setting. If I go to map, now you can see that in full screen. So if you're using the navigation, makes it very helpful to, of course, go through. And then the last one is called focused. So you will see music on the left side, some general info right in the middle, and then on that right side, you have the navigation. Now you can also adjust what you would like to see on the left side and the right side. So you can customize that as you would like to. I think the most favorite one is the dial here for me, just kind of more of a general setting to go through all of this info. Now you'll see trip selection along with the head-up display, even vehicle settings that you can go into for your TPMS and some other vitals like that. So that is pretty much all you get for the digital gauge cluster there, but I think it's very nice. It has a lot to offer. Now over on this left side of the steering wheel, you will see the liftgate release along with the fuel cap. We have some of this nice material that you saw on the door panel with some brush trim. There's also one air vent. For the head-up display, it is showing miles per hour along with the speed limit sign and what gear the vehicle is currently in. Now there's two air vents right in the middle. We have some speakers up top there. And then for this massive touchscreen system, on this left side, you will see these are all the presets. So if we start at the bottom with these four squares, you can go through all these icons like navigation. You can go into your seats, so you can adjust all of these. You can even go to the chauffeur setting, so that way you can adjust the other three seats accordingly. You can fold all the seats, unfold them. We can go into the adjustments here for your driver and your passenger, even go through the massaging seats and be able to turn those on, as well as your heated seats for a driver and passenger, and you can go into the rear. So it's very cool as a driver or a passenger up front. If you have kids in the back, you can quickly adjust this as needed. If we go back to these, we have the climate adjustments, the EV system that you can go into so you can monitor how this is going. This has three different driving modes. There is save, hybrid, and then EV. So just depending on what you are doing, you can go into the battery here, check that out, as well as the charging system. And then you will notice too that we have some more data. We have the vehicle dimensions, cab lighting. You can go through your tailgate event suite here. So that way you can adjust that as needed. If you're tailgating a lot, you can adjust that as you need to. This also has some weather and some other icons that you can further go through. So it's pretty cool to see all of that. Now you'll notice too, just above that, if we push on the vehicle setting there, You have the different ride heights that you can go through. You can even go into drive here and configure all of these as you would like to. Now on this left side, you can also get into your music very quickly, have all of your favorites, go into your phone when you have that paired, and then pull up the navigation in full screen when you would like to. Now for the home screen, you will see we have the split style where there's your phone, your media, we have the slope assistance so you can see your pitch and your roll. I can swipe over to the compass, you can look at wheel information, even the weighting sensing. I think the weighting for this vehicle is around 31 inches or so you can turn that on as you are driving through water. It will tell you if you are going in too deep. And then we have some other info that you can see for that home screen. You can customize this and change it as needed. I think it's a very nice screen. It's quick to go through and gives you what you need. Now underneath that, you will notice that we have some more controls for all the climate adjustments, just like you saw in the rear. So these dials do the exact same thing with temperature, heated and ventilated seats, and then we have the fan speed to easily adjust for driver and passenger. And then there's also shortcuts in the middle. So if I push on this one on the left, you will see the seats quickly appear. If I push the one on the right, that is for your climate adjustments. And then we have some other recirc and defrosters in the middle too. So it's very easy to go through. Now underneath that, we have a wireless charging pad along with a little bit of storage. And when you close that up, you can see this gloss black, which gives it a nice look. Now on this right side, this vehicle has different driving modes. Currently it is in auto. If I push on that, it will pop up to where now we can go through a few different settings. You can see there are some settings for off-roading like sand, rock crawl, you have the weighting sensing, and then we can even go over to mud and ruts, gravel, and then there's a few different for on-road. For this button on the right side, this is the low range settings. So that's basically like putting it into a low range for your off-road. If I push on EV, this is how you can go through hybrid, EV, as well as the save setting. And then on the left side, we have the downhill assist control. You can also utilize this for the off-road cruise control. So you can see you have to select a gear in order to use that. And then you can also set the speed that you would like to go. So currently I would have to be moving in order to activate that. Now there is a physical button for power and volume for the radio. And then for the gear selector, the release is up front. If I push this all the way forwards, you will see the 360 camera up here. And then on this left side, you have a few different presets that you can go through. You can even go to the off-road setting where you can see your wheels here, monitor the locker, and then we currently have the backup camera. If I put this into drive and go back to on-road, you can see we have a few more settings for that 360 camera system. And then you can even use these arrows too to go to a few more. So we have plenty of visibility around this entire vehicle, which is awesome to see. If I just push on this one more time backwards without using that release, that goes into sport mode. So that allows us to use these paddles, and then park is just behind that. Now right in the middle, we have two cup holders. What's very cool about this area is that you can actually open this up and it reveals even more storage with some auxiliaries, and you can hide that away. So it's very nice. You wouldn't really even know that that is there unless you actually know. So for the center armrest now, if I open this up, we do have a spot where you could place some very thin items. There's a little bit of a cutout up top. So if you had a phone or something small enough could fit there. And for this model, we have two settings for the cooler and the armrest. So that's why you get a little bit of storage underneath the cup holders, because you have the fridge in the center armrest. Now on the passenger side, there's actually two glove boxes. You will see these arrows here. The arrow pointing up will indicate the upper glove box, and you'll see there's a little bit of storage there. If I push on the arrows pointing down, now we have the glove box down below. So while you have the fridge in the center armrest, the two glove boxes definitely makes up for that. And then a look at visibility from the driver's seat. We can also open up the sunshade so you can see what that looks like to provide a lot more light for this interior. And like I said, visibility over that side is just as great as over the left side here. A lot of windows, so it's very nice. And then you can see from this angle, plenty of light, of course. We also have the sunroof adjustments. Dome lights are on both sides. And this even has the camera system in the rear view mirror. So if you have passengers or items in the back, you can see this is the general view where hopefully you can see those headrests right now. If you don't want to see those, you have almost a 180 view behind you. Definitely some great tech to see for this all new Range Rover. As we set off now behind the wheel for the all new Range Rover, I've been driving this for a few days, and this is a very cool SUV to be able to drive. That MSRP at 130 grand is a bit steep, but when you factor in what this has versus some of the other competitors that might break that six-figure mark, might be a little bit cheaper, this can justify that additional cost. We have the fridge, which I'm currently using right now. We have the back seats that are heated, ventilated. We have a lot of tech for this Range Rover. So if you want just that next level of luxury compared to a BMW, a Lexus, and Audi, which is kind of the three major luxury brands if you don't go to the next level, which would in a sense be this Range Rover here. It is pretty fancy. It's super comfortable. I've been using the massaging seats. It's honestly a nice daily driver. I've put a couple hundred miles on it so far, and I really don't have any complaints. My one big complaint when I hopped into it is that the gauge cluster screen tilts away from the driver. That took me a couple miles to get used to, but I've gotten used to it. I like the setup and the angle that it's in, and then everything going through the infotainment system. It's a nice vehicle to drive. So let's put it into a dynamic mode here where we can use these paddle shifters. And just a mild acceleration from third. Even if I wasn't talking just then, you guys wouldn't be able to hear this. It is so quiet, so well insulated on this interior. I'm passing a lawnmower and I didn't even hear that. That was interesting. And then what I really like about this SUV is the fact that we have the EV system. So you can push on this button to go between hybrid, which is both of them, or just the EV. Now you do have to charge that battery, so you do have to plug it in, and that cord was in the back cargo space as you saw earlier. I like the hybrid tech because I feel like you can use that in situations. Stop and go traffic is really where that's going to shine, not so much out on the highway, but really under 20, 25 miles an hour, maybe even 30 miles an hour, you won't be able to utilize that. It's just for the slower speed situations, which is where you can gain that MPG back when you're doing in stop and go traffic. That is where you burn the most fuel. So adding the electric system, I think, is a plus. The hybrid system to me is much more beneficial than one or the other. When you combine them, that gives you the best of both worlds. And I'm sure at some point that tech will be able to add range to the hybrid system. This is right around 48 miles, as I said earlier. And from second gear, here we go. It is incredible not only how quick these shifts are, but it's so smooth. And as you could tell, you can't even hear this under a heavy acceleration. It is that quiet and refined feeling. Not so much on the performance-oriented side. This is more of that ultra-luxurious family-style SUV. And luckily, we get to do another acceleration, so we'll drop to third. It's so quick in those shifts, and not even having the larger engine option that is available, we are up into 8th gear. So 130 grand for this Range Rover. That's a lot of money, 6-figure SUV. But when you compare it to some of the other vehicles, other brands that are available, let's just say BMW, X5, X7, a lot more lower price point. Those can still hit 6 figures though. You have AMGs from BMW or from Mercedes-Benz, and then you also have some Lexus models. Those are mainly the 3 luxury focused SUVs. Range Rover is that next level. All of the ones that I just mentioned are very nice. They're all comfortable and they offer a good bit. And then you drive a Range Rover and you kind of understand with the adaptive suspension, that bridge was really not even anything to worry about as far as bumps go. This is a whole new level when you hop behind the wheel of the Range Rover and really put some seat time behind it. So this is exciting to be able to drive and share with you all what it's like to be in this 6-figure SUV. But the new Range Rover, I'm digging it. I love the exterior styling. Aside from the Range Rover or Land Rover Defender, the Range Rover, this Range Rover, more sleek and elegant. It has that ultra luxurious vibe to it, where a lot of other vehicles are going more to that boxy route. This one, simple, clean. I've had a lot of head turning in this Range Rover. Surprising to see that. It's a dark green, so this isn't a flashy in your face model for the week that I have it, but it's definitely turning a lot of heads. And I think just with the shape of it, some of the design elements, it's definitely classy. You know it's a Range Rover, but it is extremely nice and very well put together with everything that it has to offer. But I think that is going to wrap it up for this 23 Range Rover P440e SE. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.